It's very, very good to be with you all today. I'm glad that Serda invited me to offer some reflections and a meditation today. It's obviously I'm not from the Armenian community, and I keep abreast of kind of what's going on in the world, but I hadn't followed the conflict in recent times, really until Serda contacted me. And then this week, there's been a lot more. There was a front page story in the New York Times 3 days ago, I think. And so, became more aware. I was kind of aware of the conflict, but in kind of out there's so much else going on in the world that we, that our attention is tends to be very limited. But as I've kind of learned more and connected more with what's going on, I'm really glad that I am with you, able to be with you today, and really recognize how difficult and painful a time it is for you all and the whole community in Armenia, with the pain of loss of loved ones and community members. And I really want to convey and share my wish and my prayers for a peaceful and a just resolution to the current strife and the current conflict, and an end to the suffering, really. Just a few words about myself and my own background. I worked in the field of human rights and social justice for over 20 years, and I was very involved in the in the conflicts in Central America, in El Salvador and Nicaragua and Guatemala, where people were struggling. This was mainly in the 80s and the 90s, 1980s and 1990s, people struggling against dictatorship and for peace and for justice, really, for freedom. And so and I've traveled a lot in regions of conflict and seen the costs and the price that communities pay for war and conflict. And I'm aware of what's happening, and the suffering in Artsakh and for the Armenian community in Armenia and in the in the diaspora. And for all involved in the conflict. As Serda mentioned, I've been teaching mindfulness for meditation for about 2 decades. And some of the richest and most meaningful work for me has been working with humanitarian aid workers in the Middle East who are supporting the Syrian and Iraqi and other refugees in that region. And where I want to begin really is to recognize and really say that in these difficult times for the community, for the Armenian community, it's natural to feel the kind of emotions that Serda talked about, to be fearful, to be full of grief, worried, stressed, anxious, guilty, all of those emotions, uncertain just of how things are going to turn out, maybe even overwhelmed. It just seems like too much. You're kind of holding all the pain and the suffering of the community, maybe of loved ones who are in harm's way. So it's very, very natural for these emotions to come, to arise. It would be unusual if they didn't. And so it's natural. And our well-being and our happiness really depend to a large extent on how we're able to negotiate these emotions. Because if we just get overwhelmed and, you know, it's just too much for us, then we're not able to deal really with our own lives or be helpful for others. So the practices like the ones that we'll be doing today, I think are extremely helpful in terms of working with our own emotions and our mind states, so that we can process them. We can feel the sadness. We don't push it away. We don't push the grief away, but we don't have to act it out in kind of anger or rage or whatever it might be. That we can allow ourselves to actually feel fully what we're feeling, not get so caught up in our heads, you know, about, for example, with worry and fear. Oh, because very easily the mind can create scenarios, as probably we all know, where we think, oh, this terrible thing can happen, and then we think even a worse thing can happen, and the mind just creates that, you know, more and more, you know, a kind of, sometimes we call it catastrophizing. You know, so we take a situation that's already very serious and very painful, but we can make it even more than that. And so the practices that we'll be doing today are really to help us hold and experience all that is arising for us in our bodies, in our hearts, in our minds, in a way that's that allows us to live our lives effectively, and to respond as well as we can in the situation that we're dealing with. You know, just some of the benefits, you know, that have been shown for mindfulness in scientific studies. You know, these practices help us to focus our attention more, to be able to problem solve better, to have more flexible kind of thinking, to be able to connect more fully with others, to regulate our emotions more, to have more optimism and confidence, to deal more effectively with conditions like anxiety and stress, with depression, with PTSD if it arises, you know. So the practices have been shown to have really helpful outcomes when we practice them in a consistent way. And I want to just reflect on the work that we do with the humanitarian aid workers. They're dealing with situations in the Middle East where we have our trainings, and supporting and helping refugees, many of whom have lost their families, family members, loved ones, maybe their homes, and are in refugee camps. And very easily, the aid workers themselves can feel overwhelmed by the work that they're doing. You know, they're hearing, you know, various stories of tragedy and grief, and they're kind of taking that in, those stories in, often from a lot of different people. And the aid workers themselves, if they don't have practices that help them kind of stay balanced and stay connected, they easily kind of take all this in. They're working long hours, they're under a lot of pressure. Often the work situations are very hard. Often the management, you know, situation can be difficult. So they're dealing with all of this. And if they don't have practices for to be able to deal with things effectively, then they easily get really stressed out. They get burned out. They're not able to actually continue doing the work sometimes. And that's why we help train them in the kind of practices of mindfulness and compassion. Self-compassion is a very, very important practice of taking care of ourselves. One of the images that we're all familiar with that we use in our trainings is the one that we hear when we get on the plane, you know, and the flight attendant says, in the event of an emergency, put on your own mask first before assisting others, you know. And we use that as an image, really, almost like a metaphor for the aid workers themselves, that if they're not taking care of themselves, if they're not putting their own mask on, they're just not able to help the beneficiaries, the refugees that they're working with. It's like, you know, if we're on a plane and there's not, the oxygen is running out and we're not able to breathe, then we're not going to be able to help the young child or an older person. You know, we have to take care of ourselves. So the metaphor really is that taking care of ourselves is not a luxury. It's not self-absorbed. It's an absolute necessity. If we're going to be effective in our families, in our communities, in the wider society, we have to take care of ourselves. And these practices are ways really of taking care of ourselves. And so what we'll be doing is we'll do a meditation together, and we'll begin with the practice of mindfulness. And that's really an invitation to just pay attention to whatever you're experiencing, whatever's going on in your mind, whatever you're going on in your body, in your emotions, to just make space for whatever's here. You know, allow yourself to feel whatever you're feeling. And that'll be the first part of the meditation. And then in the second part of the meditation, or the latter part of the meditation, we'll do a practice to connect with community and our intentions and our wishes for peace in the region, in the Artsakh region, and for all involved in the conflict. That maybe a meditation for peace and for a just solution to the conflict. So what I'd invite you to do is just to sit comfortably, and if you like, you could close your eyes, let your attention come inward. And sit in a way that's relaxed and comfortable. So you could make any adjustments you need to in your posture, so that you can feel some sense of ease and well-being. You could put your hands in your lap or on your knees. Invite the shoulders to relax. And let your attention drop down out of the thinking mode, down into your body. Feel your body. Feel the contact with the chair or the surface beneath you. Feel your contact of your feet with the floor, your hands with whatever they're touching, your lap or your thighs or your knees. Connect with your breathing. Just experience your body breathing right now. And our breath is a very good barometer of our sense of, our level of stress or our sense of well-being. When we're stressed out, the breath tends to be tight and short. And when we're more relaxed, the breath tends to be deeper. So just notice how your breath is now, and you might just let the breath deepen. Take a nice full deep in-breath, filling the lungs, filling the chest, and then releasing on the out-breath, long, slow out-breath. So nice full deep in-breath, filling the body with the breath, and then releasing, letting go, Imagine you're breathing out any tensions as you breathe out, as you exhale. You might take a few more longer, deeper breaths. And these breaths can help us to relax and settle. So if we're feeling stressed or worried or anxious, the deep breaths can help us just settle into being here, to relax, maybe find some calm. And another simple practice we can do, and you can let the breath settle back into its natural rhythm. Simple practice, however we're feeling, is to invite a smile to your face. You might be feeling not too jolly or happy right now, but if you can just invite a smile to the corners of your eyes, the corners of your mouth, maybe thinking of a loved one, dear friend, maybe a family member, child, or a pet. Maybe letting the image of this person or this being come into your mind, into your heart. And the smile, however you're feeling, sends a message to your brain and to your nervous system that you can relax, you can be at ease. You might invite that smile down into the body, maybe into your heart, the area of your heart. Maybe thinking of loved ones, those you care about. And connecting with yourself. If you like, you might put your hand on your heart, maybe another other hand on the belly. Just connecting with yourself, with this life, with yourself. Maybe sending a wish to yourself, wishing yourself well. May I be happy. May I be safe. Wishing that maybe too for all the members of the community. Let yourself open to whatever you're experiencing right now. See if you can meet whatever you're feeling in the body and the emotions in the mind with acceptance and kindness. Just accepting whatever is here right now. You know, if sadness comes up, see if you can make space for that sadness. Or if a feeling of connection comes up, just to make space for that. A key part of this element of this practice is to allow ourselves to feel whatever we're feeling, not to push it away, not to try and grab onto or hold on to anything. Just allow ourselves to feel what we're feeling, experience what we're experiencing. Just making space for whatever is here. The Sufi poet Jalaluddin Rumi, 13th century poet, speaks of being human as a guest house. He said, and he invites us to welcome the guests, whatever we're experiencing, to welcome them. He says, welcome the guests, even if they're a crowd of sorrows who empty your house of its furniture. He says, still treat each guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. So can you welcome whatever is here right now, whatever you're experiencing? Just holding and meeting your experience with kindness. Whatever's here, can it just come and go in its own time? A bodily feeling, an emotion, a thought, a sound, taste, just letting everything come and go. So making space for and allowing whatever is here, whatever's present. So that nothing has to be pushed away or avoided. Sometimes if it feels too difficult, it can be good to step back and maybe come back another time. But the intention is to allow ourselves to feel our feelings, to experience what we're experiencing, what's here. And with this quality of kindness towards ourselves, we can broaden this out to the community. There's a practice known as loving kindness, which is where we wish well to ourselves and to others, and ultimately to everybody, to all beings. We can focus today on the Armenian community and just bringing into your mind and into your heart the difficulties and the suffering and the loss. As much as you can, just hold what comes up for you. And if there are individuals that come to your mind who are suffering, maybe family or relatives or friends, or the community as a whole, just you might send out these wishes, these phrases, connecting as much as you can with your heart. Just sending the wish, may you be safe, to this individual or a group or the whole community. May you be safe and free from harm. May you be safe and free from harm. Just let that be a wish, an aspiration for those that you're sending this wish out to. May you be safe and free from harm. May you be peaceful. May you be healthy and well. May you be free from harm, free from suffering. And you could silently say these phrases or some version of these phrases or your own phrases to send out to the community, to individuals, maybe people who are in harm's way. May you be safe and free from harm. May you be peaceful. May you be healthy and well. May you live with ease. May you be free of suffering, free of harm. You might feel the whole community held in this kindness, in this loving kindness, in safety, in peace. Just continuing to send the wishes out, maybe to others, if others come up. If you feel ready, you might include all who are involved in the conflict, wishing that they be safe and free from harm. All who are involved. You might reflect on your deepest wish for the community at this time. What is it for you? Maybe to that everyone live in peace. Whatever your wish is, just putting that wish, that intention out into the world. A just and lasting peace might be a wish of many. An end to the suffering, an end to the conflict. Finishing with a wish for peace in the whole region and an end to strife, an end to conflict. May all your loved ones and friends and all the community and all involved know peace, happiness, and well-being. Be free of conflict.